All right. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to join me. Today we will be speaking about how your strata can collect pre-authorized strata fees. If your strata is not currently collecting strata fees automatically, I'm sure you have had many requests for this payment option. And I would like to take away some of the mystery behind the process. Please note that I am only speaking to the system that is offered by Coast Capital, as I am employed by Coast Capital. There may be similar systems compared to this. However, I cannot speak to those. Coast Capital uses a program called Payment Stream Automated Funds Transfer. Given that that's a mouthful, I'm going to say AFT or Payment Stream for short. Payment Stream is a program provided by a third party called Central One. They are a clearinghouse used by most credit unions across BC. Therefore, if you bank with another credit union in BC, you may be offered this same solution. Payment Stream is a web-based service which requires two-step authentication. That means a username and password are required to log in, along with a secondary randomly generated code. And I'll speak more to these codes and how we generate them later. Because the program is web-based, you can access it from any computer, from anywhere. I would caution you, you want to make sure this is on secure Wi-Fi because the program is going to store your owner's personal financial information. Since your owners are trusting you with this information, we want to make sure it's safe and secure. During this process and with AFT, you will always have a dedicated account manager to assist you every step of the way or if you run into any types of errors. I will mention that Payment Stream is best suited for stratas over 20 units. There are monthly fees associated with this program, which I will touch on later. If your strata is less than 20 units, we do have an alternative option which is not self-directed. One of the beautiful things about Payment Stream is that you hold all the power. You're the one who makes the changes. You're the one who requests the payments, all of that. Now, what can we use this for? Well, you can either send or receive money. If you have regular contractors or monthly suppliers, you can directly pay them into their account. These could be gardeners, cleaning services, things like that. However, I find most stratas stick to pre-authorized debits, which can be used to collect reoccurring monthly payments such as strata fees or parking fees. If you have guest rental fees that are maybe short-term payments or special levies that are not regular monthly reoccurring payments, you just have like a one-time payment required, you can also use Payment Stream to collect those from your owners. Now, when you are setting up Payment Stream, there is some customization available. First, you want to decide on the types of limits you need. You have monthly limits for the group of transactions that you're completing, and you also have individual transaction limits. When setting these limits, you always want to leave room for a few years of increases. If you have a special levy that requires a higher limit, we can do a temporary increase to accommodate these. Limits are a safeguard to protect you. For example, let's say that your highest monthly strata fee payment is $300. We would probably agree to set the limit at $500, leaving you some room for those increases. However, when you go to enter the information, let's say you accidentally type in an extra zero. So you're trying to collect 3,000 from an owner. The system will automatically stop you from doing that and then allow you to go back and correct the issue. Next, do you require dual authorization? So you want to look at your bylaws, speak to your strata council and members. If you are doing payments to your contractors or suppliers, and you're required to have 2 authorizations for any transactions out of your account, then you'll want to set up dual authorization. If that's not a requirement, then you can just have one person authorize it. It is up to you. Now, how do you want to put this information into the AFT system? There are 2 ways to do that. The most common for Stratas is manual data entry. What that means is you would log in to the payment stream system with all your owner's account information and transcribe that in there along with the amounts you're collecting, frequency, all that kind of stuff. If perhaps you use a third-party bookkeeping or accounting software like QuickBook or Sage, then you can enter the owner's information into there and upload it into AFT. Everything I've just spoken about would be covered with your account manager through an interview before getting into payment stream. We would go through how you are currently collecting your fees, how many units you have, who's going to be the users, how everything should be set up, and guide you through the process. While we are setting things up behind the scenes, you do have some work to do. If you're going to collect fees from your owners, so directly debiting their account, you do need to have an agreement. So think back to any time you have set up a personal pre-authorized bill payment, maybe your car insurance, your cell phone bill, BC Hydro. You always sign something which will have these requirements in there. So you need to have the date and signature of the person who you are debiting from, authority to debit their account, some type of statement to that, the amount, timing, or the specific event that is going on, how the agreement can be canceled, contact information, and then the process if funds need to be reimbursed back. What I like to mention also, which you can add to this agreement, is what will happen when the strata fees increase. If you don't want to have to get a new agreement signed, then you can put a disclaimer in there saying that no additional authorization is required from the owner. Written notification of the increases will be provided. Something along those lines. That means you just need to, in writing, let your owners know the increases are happening, and then you are authorized to set those up. I spoke a bit about this two-step authentication previously. As I mentioned, the first step is your username and password. The second step is the randomly generated code. This code can be generated in 2 different ways. One, we use the term soft token. The code is generated through the Google Authenticator app, which is a free app that you download onto your smart device. The first time you log in, you will have to scan a QR code, so like a barcode on the screen, to link the app with your login. Then the app will just automatically generate a random code continuously, and you enter that in going forward. With this, if you do get a new phone, you would need to let us know just so that we can reset this token to allow you to link the app on your new phone to your login. Alternatively, if you don't want this to have anything to do with your personal items, you can get a hard token, which is a physical fob device assigned to a specific user. This, you get the code by clicking one button, the number appears, and you enter that into the screen. There is an additional fee to this, so it's $20 for that physical fob, and that cannot be transferred from one user to the next. Again, I've touched on this single or dual authorization. You would want it to review your bylaws, mirror your account requirements, but also note that the first user would go in and press the button saying, yes, we want to collect, or yes, we want to send these funds. And then the other user would get an email notification saying there's something ready for them to approve. They log in and approve it. Now, doesn't this all sound great, right? Click of a button, it's all done. Well, yes, there's a cost associated with it. There's a one-time setup fee of $200. Then, depending on how you want this to happen each month, either manual file release or automatic file release, there is a different cost. If every month you would like to log into the system, click the button that says, yes, I want to collect or send these funds, the minimum monthly fee is $35 per month. It can be greater depending on your usage. I've added in the equation that we use there, and I'll break that down for you. So a file is the collection of transactions that you are doing at one time. So all of your Strata owners, their Strata fee collection likely happening on the first of the month. That is one file. If you are only collecting those, you only have one file per month. Then we have the number of transactions. So that's how many owners you are collecting those Strata fees from. Let's say you are a really big Strata. You have 200 owners that you would like to collect these fees from. Well, then that's 12 times the one file plus 12 cents times the 200 transactions. I'll tell you, that's $36. So you're very unlikely to get over the $35 fee mark. The other option is to have the automatic file release. So this is where the system, you would set it up to just automatically collect those funds. No action required from you to go in every month. It will just collect the fees, collect the fees, collect the fees. That's $50 per month. But if there are ever any changes, like you have a new owner, maybe someone's decided they don't want to do AFT and you need to remove them, or the amounts change, or an account for an owner changes and you need to go in there and update it, you have to go in and update those. So if you think those are going to be happening quite often, and you're maybe going in every month already, it might make more sense to go with the manual file release and save yourself some money. Now, how quickly can we get this all happening? Often it takes between 2 to 3 weeks. So that's how long it takes us to meet with you, get all the documents signed, have everything set up behind the scenes, and have you collect all the information and agreements from your owners to do this. The application and setup can be completed totally remotely. So there is no in-person appointment necessary if you don't want it. We can get e-signatures through an electronic portal. We can do conference calls, all of that great stuff. I will say there have been a number of times I have gone to people's homes or offices to help them with their first time login and just give them the confidence to go forward. Sometimes there are supporting documents required, such as financial statements. This is a seldom exception and for very large limits, maybe for that strata unit that has 200 owners. I wanted to add here the types of reports that you can get from AFT. As you can see, I'm not going to go through all of these, but they're stored for 18 months, a good long time, and they cover virtually every click that you make on the system. So if there's ever something you're unsure about or aren't sure what happened, there's a way to find out what's going on. Now we're all human, so there are going to be errors every once in a while. How can we fix those? Well, there are options. When you are collecting fees from your owners or paying your contractors, you would log in a few days before you want that transaction to take place. If you realize that you have made a mistake before the date that the transaction is supposed to occur, we can do what's called a recall. This means you can go back in, say, nope, this is not what I want to do. I take it all back. And you can either take just a transaction back or all of them back. Sometimes our timing isn't so great and the transaction has already gone through and been posted on the accounts. In that case, it is a best effort basis to return those funds. There is the ability to dispute these types of error corrections within 90 days. This is why it is very important that you keep those agreements that you have. Now, this is another big list of things that I'm not going to go through each line by line, but I do want to explain that the funds, if you are collecting from your owners, are deposited into your account before they have necessarily cleared through all the institutions that they stop through along the way. That means that you'll get that lump sum in your account and you may see a day, maybe 2 days later, one that has been taken back with an error code. There's a lot of reasons why this might happen. It's not just because people don't have the funds in their account. Perhaps you transcribed the account number wrong. Maybe they put a stop payment on that. Maybe they closed that account. There's a lot of different things, and we can quickly and easily figure out what's going on to rectify it. Also, the system will only attempt to collect the funds once. So if it does get returned, then you need to work with the owner to decide how they would like to make that payment again. Would they like to do check? Would they like to do e-transfer? Or do they want you to try to pull the funds again? All possible options. I went through a lot. And so if you do have questions or if anything came up that sparked something, please let me know.
At this point, Amy, I'm going to stop the recording. I want to thank you very much for giving up your Saturday morning and doing this presentation for us. We will put it on our website as well.
Excellent. And not a problem. It is my pleasure.